Get it back to the Memphis Grizzlies. A peek behind the curtain. The way it works pretty much on a nightly basis, we're all watching games individually, but when things happen, we'll hit the group chat. Boom, boom, boom. This is on my mind. And the Grizzlies may have come up like 4 or 5 times just last night from all of us watching. And you mentioned, of course, John Morant and everything. He looks so disinterested in the game of basketball right now. I know he said a few days ago that, he doesn't know how he's going to get his joy, yada, yada, yada. But it's got me thinking that, like, I don't know, the offense that they're running is not terrible on paper, but it still does feel like a by-committee offense when they have a guy in John Morant that should get more shots. Like, I was just looking at the stats this morning. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Santi Aldama are taking the same amount of shots per game.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
After Jaren shot like 16 shots last year.
See, my problem, and it's really the disinterested thing with Ja because, again, I just don't see how he can't call his own number. Even in this offense, there's times where he can call his own number, but he's literally deferring and giving it to other players.
He's close to going on that path with, like, Russell Westbrook jump shooting, where for whatever reason, even though he's a bad three-point shooter, he continues to take 5 to 7 a game. This has been Brody's thing for the last 10 years, it feels like.
But you know what's crazy, to speak on that, is like there is this theory, and Isalo is a analytics guy, where like I seen people having a conversation about this yesterday with Vic, where it's like even if he not making them, like you still want this 3-point rating, and they even asked Isalo about like Jaren Jackson's shots and everything, and I think he said that
his true shooting percentage is the highest of his career.
So it's like they looking at some things that are just like I don't think.
I thought that response from
paper, not the actual game,
me off like completely. I was just like, "What are you
committed
doing?"
to analytics? Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Did I send that?
I didn't see it. That's really bad. That's some stuff that the agent says to a team when he's trying to get paid.
Yeah.
It's too committed to a numbers thing versus the result of the game. And then to your point about Ja, it's not deferring, but he had a post-game interview, and I've been locked into all these post-game interviews. He's talking about, and he answered this for Jaren, but I think he probably thinks this for himself because he reiterated it. And he was saying, I don't know if y'all watch basketball, but spacing. We don't have spacing. And when you can't have spacing, you don't have the avenues. And he was, again, responding for Jaren, but it sounds like also a thing for him.
See it,
And, his biggest strength is to be able to go down. And he took accountability. He said, it does. I have to be better, plain and simple. And it's my job to put the pressure on the defense. But if he don't feel like Jaren got space, he can't feel like he has space.
And fair. I feel like he's been one of the players that's been able to work in negative spacing sometimes. Like, he's just that talented of a player.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw the Jalen Wells but prior to the last game, Jalen Wells is like 4 of 36 coming into the start of the year. Like, they just couldn't buy shots.
Crazy. All right, I'll give another one. Darius Garland came back yesterday, and the Cavs immediately looked like the offense from last season.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
It just happened immediately.
And it's also fun to watch Donovan Mitchell do what he did in that third quarter. He just, in that third quarter, he just went into a whole nother level. He saw that the Sixers was creeping close and they was trying to stay into this game, and Donovan Mitchell just said, no, I'm not going to let y'all come in here on a second night of a back-to-back and have us playing in a competitive game.
And it's not like Darius Garland had a crazy game. It was just more so his presence on the floor.
Yeah.
Ball was moving. Shots were being taken. One-mores were being thrown. It feels good, though, because, again, a lot of the early parts of the season, the ball was going through Evan Mobley a ton. He still ended up with a really good game without having as many touches. And I feel like that's probably the right recipe by them having just an extra ball handler out there. You're not tasking Evan Mobley to be a guard on a nightly basis. So that was pretty good. I don't know how we got this far without talking about the Lakers game.
I was about to say, I'm extremely proud of them.
I didn't want to bring it up at the end of last one because we had to take our break because I feel like there was a lot to go into this. But this Laker team has really been on a roll. They were able to beat the Spurs, who, again, were on top of the West. And I thought we did one amazing job with Wemby, just being able to body him up. And I thought J.J. Redick's coaching was kind of, it's a thing around the league now where it's just like we're going to put a smaller player on Vic and then we're going to have a backline defender for when it gets to the rim. We did that, I feel like, to perfection. He even fouled out the game. He just had a rough game. But Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, I'm calling him dominating for right now because he has been on his stuff.
He deserves it right now.
He's been on his stuff. And, again, we're a team that's been fighting injuries.
A lot.
So for us to have Rui, who's shooting he's shooting almost 60% from the field, 50% from three. Jake LaRavia step up. Just a whole group effort, and this team is looking really good.
Yeah, the first thing I'm doing when I get home is making a Lakers video because this team doesn't feel like a Lakers team, and I mean that as a compliment. It feels like there's depth. Mm-hmm. Right, all of your offseason acquisitions have been performing well. I feel like we always get our hopes high for a Lakers offseason. It's like, oh, that didn't work out. DeAndre Ayton after that first game's been amazing. Marcus Smart, even though he almost cost the game yesterday, has been amazing. And then Jake LaRavia come in and give you 25.
Well, Bronny getting minutes and doing things.
Hey man, and like this is no shot at Bronny because he's been through a lot, but like I really do enjoy watching him on the court now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think we got to give some credit to JJ Redick. I feel like the Lakers have won a few games where I just don't think that they were supposed to win. I didn't think that they would win, and this was one of them. Obviously, when you have Luka and the way Austin Reeves is playing when Luka wasn't in the game, you always have a chance. But, yeah, just to piggyback off the things that y'all said, I mean, I didn't look into it because the game was late, but this has to be one of the first times this season that the Spurs got out-rebounded. This also has to be one of the first times this season where they got outscored in the paint. Mm-hmm. Those have been two things that the Spurs have dominated their opponents in.
It had to be the Vic foul trouble for one.
Yeah.
Which I give a lot of credit to the Spurs because even when Vic was out of the game and you would think the Lakers would take over, they did not. You know, the Spurs kept fighting, but Vic, this was a lot of that was Vic just being out the game.
Yeah, you definitely saw Vic's impact because when he did come out the game, they immediately went back to those lobs and the pick and roll and get into the paint.
Yeah, exactly,
and then the moment he was in the game, a lot of those lobs and stuff just weren't there.
They just weren't there.
You got to credit the Lakers. They attacked that. They were purposely trying to get and take it. You could see the celebrations when he picked up his fourth and when he got the sixth one. Like they was on the sideline.
They cut to the crowd. Dude.
I don't think nobody wanted to deal with Wemby on that court that night. We know what he could do.
Lakers also limited those turnovers. I was proud of that.
Yeah, literally all y'all really did a good job of like anticipating his moves and like y'all was making him think. And like
shout out to Marcus Smart, man.
You know, Marcus Smart had a great game.
Shout out to the Suns. They laid out the blueprint.
For real. Now, everybody knows y'all done messed up the Wemby sweepstakes. Another thing, I know you mentioned Kay Cunningham earlier, but I do want to go back to their game because Alex Sarr's been amazing so far to start the season. I've been sitting here trying to find the exact averages. It's 19 points per game, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 54% from the field, 45% from 3 on 3 attempts, 80% from the free throw line. And I think the best stat to describe his season so far, last year, his average distance of shot was 15 feet away, taking a lot of three-pointers, doing a lot of those things. Now it's down to 10. So he's getting to the basket a lot more. He's not settling for those lone three-pointers that we saw early in the shot clock, and he's been so very efficient. And there was a time earlier in that game yesterday when they went against the Celtics. I don't know why I mentioned Kay Cunningham. They went against the Celtics. You know, the Celtics thing, rebounding has been their Achilles heel so far this season. In the first quarter, he walked out with like 4 offensive boards, and he got a putback on all of those possessions. So he's been really good. Again, they're building something. I like that.
I really like what Alex Sarr does, and again, he could do that because he's just so mobile as a big, where he could kind of play a little bit of everywhere. And I thought defensively, he's always kind of been there, like and showing what he can do. But offensively, he's kind of finding himself. And again, he's not taking as many threes. And the more you can get close to the basket, the better.
Yeah, I like the fact that they are like you seeing like a legit 5, and then you got Keyshawn George. So now you at least could say this year we have 2 guys like legitimately like separating themselves from their peers.
Trey Johnson.
And then you got Trey Johnson as well. And like Alex Sarr defensively, I think he will always be able to provide that impact, even if he isn't scoring the basketball.
Seeing progression while your team is still really bad is all you can really ask for.
Yeah.
Because now they can just like get the first overall pick potentially. And now that core looks crazy.
Yeah.
It looks
and I
really
talked to Corey
crazy.
Kispert yesterday. He was on Tee It Up. And he had nothing but like, and obviously he wasn't gonna come on the show and be like, man, I hate these young guys. They ain't. But it was some of the specific things he talked about, you know, with the work ethic and trying to learn from the vets and different things like that. So I think Washington has done a good job of, you know, keeping Kispert around. I think he's one of the most sought after shooters in the league right now. And then adding the Middletons and McCollums, guys who can come in but not necessarily get in their way. Yeah. Now it has been a couple times this season where. I can't remember the game, but Washington was in a close one. I think it was with Philly. And they did have CJ trying to close it out for like the last 2 minutes.
I remember
and it pissed me off.
Yep.
But other than that, I think they do have something good going. And I think you made the great point where it's like seeing that progression is what it's about. Because, you know, it ain't wins and loss. I'm not watching the Wizards to win and loss watch. I'm looking for player progression. And they've had that so far.
They've had that for sure.